I'm a huge fan of The Bad Batch, and it's mainly because they remind me of a group of stories that I used to love as a kid. So let's go over that as we head into the final season of The Bad Batch Season 3. I am a fan of the Star Wars animation era, starting in 2008 with the Clone Wars, going into Rebels, and now with The Bad Batch. And when I saw The Bad Batch for the first time, I went into it with open expectations, and on the first episode, I was actually hooked. And the first reason was that it reminded me so much of two stories that I loved as a kid. The Dirty Dozen movie, released in 1967 by MGM, and the A-Team TV series that ran from 1983 to 1987 on NBC. If you haven't watched those, then you may get some spoilers, or even reasons to go back and watch them. And if you haven't watched The Bad Batch, then if you know The Dirty Dozen or the A-Team, it may make you want to watch that. So if you aren't familiar with them, The Dirty Dozen takes place during World War II and is about 12 military men who are a bunch of misfit convicts, some of them on death row, and are given the task to work together on a secret mission to parachute into enemy German territory and take out German officers who are meeting at a castle. And the A-Team is about a group of Special Forces commandos who fought in the Vietnam War and were falsely accused of war crimes they did not commit. They all escaped imprisonment and came together to be underground mercenaries to fight for justice against corrupt forces. The main thing that bonds these two shows to The Bad Batch are that all of these characters don't fit into the norm of society or even in their military structures. Everyone sees them as weird, dangerous, and breaking the rules to get things done. Another main thing about all of them is that the shows were really made for boys around the ages of 12 to 16 years old. Even though adults can be fans, let's be honest, this is not for adults. Even The Bad Batch. What makes me enjoy all three is that it's about interesting characters that get put into impossible situations, and how the members of the group stay individuals while coming together as an oddball group to solve problems. With the Dirty Dozen, the A-Team, and the Bad Batch, they are super similar in the way they create their members of the group. For one, there's always the leader. In The Bad Batch, it's Hunter, who resembles Sly Stallone and Rambo, but in The Dirty Dozen, it's Lee Marvin characters Major John Reisman, and in the A-Team, it's George Papard's character of John Hannibal Smith. Then we have the Muscle. In The Bad Batch, it's my favorite character, Wrecker. In The Dirty Dozen, it can be argued that it's a few characters. One could be Clint Walker's character, Posey, Jim Brown's character, Robert Jefferson, or even the crazy Telly Savalas character, Maggot. And in the A-Team, it's my favorite character, portrayed by Mr. T, B.A. Baracus. I think one of the most iconic TV characters of all time. Then we have the Marksman, or the Perfect Soldier. In The Bad Batch, this is Crosshair, who is always following orders. In The Dirty Dozen, I think this is Charles Bronson's character, Joseph Ladislaw. And in the A-Team, it's Howling Mad Murdoch, played brilliantly by Dwight Schultz. Then we have the Genius. In The Bad Batch, this is taken by Tech, the Sheldon Cooper of the group. In The Dirty Dozen, this is shared by multiple characters, but really split up by Lee Marvin and Charles Bronson just because they had the most tactical military knowledge and experience as officers. In the A-Team, it's the Face, played by Templeton Peck, who usually helps Hannibal come up and execute the plans, although it can be argued that Hannibal is the genius of the group. But you gotta mention that B.A. Baracus was a pretty good field engineer. And in The Bad Batch, the character Echo is really an outlier with his cybernetic abilities and has the most trauma of the group. And it can be really said that just like his Frankenstein of parts, he is also a Frankenstein of all the members of the Bad Batch put together. But it's this storytelling genre of taking the outcasts, each having different personalities, unique skill sets, and things about them that make them dysfunctional and dangerous to society. And I love it when you put these types of characters together to tell a war drama story. When The Dirty Dozen would come on TNT back in the day, I would always stop to watch. When the A-Team was on NBC back in the early 80s, I would always tell my mom to remind me when the A-Team was on. I was so young I had no concept of days or time. I even asked my mom to get me a B.A. Baracus action figure, which quickly broke because of the cheap O-rings they used on the torso. And when I finally settled in to watch The Bad Batch, I didn't know what to expect, but on that first episode, I got a huge smile on my face when I turned into a 7-year-old kid all over again and remembered what it was like to watch The Dirty Dozen or watching the A-Team on Tuesday nights. Then all my friends on the school playground reenacting the new episodes and each of us playing a role. I was always Hannibal, and my best friend was always B.A. Baracus, but we all secretly wanted to be Mr. T, but none of us were that big, at least as big as my best friend. So as we watch the last season of The Bad Batch, whether you like it or don't, or have never tuned in, maybe now you can go back and watch The Dirty Dozen or The A-Team and take a look at The Bad Batch with a new appreciation of why I like it. I am a vintage kid at heart. And if you want to watch more videos about vintage Star Wars, check out these videos that are on your screen now. And as always, my friends, thank you, and I'll see you next time.